What I'm about to reveal in this video will shake the wrestling world to its absolute core. For months, we've been fed lies. For months, we've been deceived. And someone in WWE's inner circle has been playing all of us like absolute fools. A mystery man has just come forward with explosive information about who really orchestrated the vicious attack on CM Punk. And let me tell you something right now. The person responsible is someone you see every single week, someone you trust, someone who's been hiding in plain sight this entire time, laughing at every single one of us. This is Wrestle Scope, and what you're about to hear will make your blood boil. Hello viewers, if you're new here, please don't forget to like and hit that subscribe button for daily updates on WWE Raw. The attack that changed everything. Let's rewind the clock. Let's go back to that night, that infamous night that sent shockwaves through every wrestling forum, every social media platform, every locker room conversation in the industry. CM Punk, the voice of the voiceless, the man who came back to professional wrestling after 7 long years, the Second City Saint who returned to WWE with unfinished business, with scores to settle, with a mission to reclaim what was rightfully his. And then it happened. Backstage, after a grueling match, when Punk was at his most vulnerable, his most exhausted, his defenses completely down, that's when the attack came. Brutal, calculated, merciless. We all saw the aftermath. Punk being stretchered out, medical staff swarming, chaos, absolute chaos. Social media exploded. Fans were demanding answers. Who did this? Why did they do this? Was this a random act of violence or was something far more sinister at play? WWE gave us the official story. They fed us their narrative. An isolated incident, under investigation, no concrete leads. But here's what they didn't tell you. Here's what they've been hiding from you this entire time. This wasn't random. This wasn't some hot-headed wrestler losing their temper in the heat of the moment. This was orchestrated. This was planned. This was executed with military precision by someone with everything to gain from CM Punk being taken out of action. And for months, this person has been walking around, cutting promos, shaking hands, doing interviews, playing the role of the concerned colleague while secretly knowing exactly what they did. Does that make your blood boil? It should, because while we've been sitting here speculating, creating fantasy booking scenarios, arguing in comment sections about who it could have been, the real perpetrator has been hiding in plain sight, pulling strings like a puppet master. The mystery man emerges. Now, you're probably asking yourself, how do we know any of this is true? Where's the evidence? Who's making these claims? Fair questions, and this is where things get really interesting. Enter our mystery man. Let's call him the insider for now, because that's exactly what he is. This isn't some random mark on Twitter making wild accusations. This isn't some dirt sheet writer desperate for clicks. This is someone who was there, someone who saw things, someone who heard conversations, someone who has been carrying this information like a weight on their shoulders for months. The insider reached out to us here at Wrestle Scope 3 weeks ago. At first, we were skeptical. We've all heard rumors. We've all seen supposed leaks that turned out to be absolute garbage. But the insider came with receipts, text messages, timestamps, testimony from other backstage personnel who are too afraid to come forward publicly because they fear for their jobs. And what the insider revealed to us is nothing short of a conspiracy that goes all the way to the top. According to the insider, the attack on CM Punk wasn't carried out by the person who actually threw the punches. Oh no, that person was just the weapon, the muscle, the attack dog who was unleashed on command. The person who orchestrated this entire thing is someone with power, someone with influence, someone who felt threatened by CM Punk's return and saw only one way to protect their position. The insider told us, and I quote, "From the moment Punk walked back through that curtain, there was a target on his back. Certain people in power saw him as a threat to the status quo, a threat to the carefully constructed hierarchy, and they made it clear, behind closed doors, that Punk needed to be dealt with." Dealt with. Let those words sink in. Not talked to, not worked with, dealt with. This is the kind of corporate backstabbing that makes the Attitude Era locker room look like a kindergarten playground. This is Game of Thrones level betrayal happening in the wrestling business we all love. Connecting the dots. All right, let's play detective here. Let's follow the breadcrumbs, because when you start connecting the dots, when you start looking at the evidence rather than the narrative WWE wants you to believe, everything starts to make disturbing sense. First, let's talk motive. Who had the most to lose from CM Punk's return? Who was threatened by his presence? Who saw their spot, their position, their influence potentially evaporating the moment Punk signed on the dotted line? Think about it.
CM Punk is box office, CM Punk is ratings, CM Punk is merchandise sales, CM Punk is mainstream media attention. When Punk shows up, everyone else gets pushed down a notch on the card, whether they want to admit it or not. But there's one person in particular, one individual who has enjoyed an almost unprecedented level of creative control, backstage influence, and political power for the past several years. Someone who's cultivated relationships with the right people in the front office, someone who's made themselves seemingly untouchable. The insider confirmed to us that in the weeks leading up to the attack, this individual was having closed-door meetings, private conversations, making phone calls, building alliances, and the message was always the same. Punk is a problem. Punk needs to go. Second, let's talk opportunity. The attack happened in a specific location at a specific time when cameras conveniently weren't rolling. Security was mysteriously light in that area. Key witnesses seem to have suddenly developed convenient amnesia about what they saw. Coincidence? In professional wrestling, where everything is orchestrated, where every camera angle is planned, where nothing happens by accident? Please, don't insult our intelligence. The insider told us that the orchestrator made sure their fingerprints weren't anywhere near the actual attack. They used intermediaries. They manipulated someone else into doing their dirty work. They created plausible deniability while ensuring that Punk would be taken out of action for months. And here's the part that should make you furious. Here's what should have you screaming in that comment section right now. WWE knew. The higher-ups knew that something smelled rotten. They knew that this wasn't a random attack, but they made a calculated decision to bury the truth, because exposing it would have torn the entire company apart. They chose business over justice. They chose protecting their corporate image over protecting their talent. They chose to let a predator continue operating in their locker room rather than deal with the fallout of the truth. This is the web of deception. Now, let's talk about how deep this conspiracy goes, because this isn't just about one attack. This isn't just about one moment of violence. This is about a systematic campaign of manipulation and deception that's been going on for months. The insider provided us with a timeline of events that will blow your mind. 2 months before the attack, our orchestrator starts planting seeds of doubt about CM Punk backstage. He's difficult to work with. He's got an ego. He's going to cause problems. Classic political maneuvering designed to turn the locker room against Punk before he even has a chance to defend himself. 6 weeks before the attack, private meetings with WWE executives, our orchestrator expresses concerns about Punk's attitude, his professionalism, his commitment to the company. They're building a narrative, creating a paper trail that makes Punk look like the problem rather than the target. 1 month before the attack, the orchestrator identifies their weapon, someone who's hungry, someone who's desperate for a push, someone who's willing to do anything to move up the card. They stroke this person's ego, they promise them opportunities, they make them believe that taking out Punk is actually good for their career. 2 weeks before the attack, final preparations, schedules are manipulated, Punk is placed in a vulnerable position, security protocols are quietly adjusted, everything is set up like dominoes waiting to fall. The night of the attack, execute. The weapon is unleashed, Punk is taken out, and our orchestrator, they're nowhere near the scene. They have an ironclad alibi, they're on camera somewhere else creating the perfect cover. The aftermath, our orchestrator clays the concerned colleague. They cut promos about how terrible the attack was. They talk about violence having no place in WWE. They call for justice, all while knowing exactly what they did. It's disgusting. It's despicable. It's the kind of backstabbing, manipulative, cowardly behavior that makes you question everything you see on your screen. And here's what really grinds my gears. Here's what should have every single one of you fired up right now. It's made a mockery of everything we believe about professional wrestling. We talk about respect. We talk about paying your dues. We talk about competition bringing out the best in everyone. But when the reality is backstage politics, corporate manipulation, and orchestrated attacks on anyone who threatens the established hierarchy, what does any of that mean? The insider said something to me that really stuck with me. He said, professional wrestling has always had politics, but there used to be a line. There used to be things you just didn't do. That line has been completely erased. Now it's anything goes as long as you don't get caught. And if you do get caught, as long as you're valuable enough, you'll be protected. Is this the wrestling business we want? Is this what we're supporting with our ticket purchases, our merchandise sales, our WWE Network subscriptions? Who is the orchestrator? All right, I know what you're all screaming at your screens right now. Just tell us who it is. Stop dragging this out. Who orchestrated the attack on CM Punk? And I hear you. Believe me, I want to tell you. I want to scream it from the rooftops. I want to expose this person for exactly what they are, a manipulative, cowardly, backstabbing corporate politician who's been masquerading as a locker room leader. But here's the reality. Here's the legal situation we're in. The insider came to us with information, but he's not ready to go fully public yet. He's afraid, and honestly, he has every right to be. We've already talked about how WWE has handled people who threaten to expose the truth. Careers have been ended for less. What I can tell you is this. The orchestrator is someone you see regularly on WWE programming, someone in a position of power and influence, someone who's been with the company for years and has cultivated an image as a company loyalist, a locker room leader, someone who does what's best for business. The insider gave us some clues, some breadcrumbs that you can follow yourself if you're paying attention. This person had a lot to lose from CM Punk's return. We're talking about main event spots, championship reigns, creative influence, backstage power. Punk coming back threatened all of that. This person has a history of political maneuvering backstage. If you dig into the dirt sheets over the past several years, you'll find stories about this person playing politics, about people being pushed out or held back because they were perceived as threats. This person was conspicuously quiet after the attack. While everyone else was waving outrage, while everyone else was demanding answers, this person kept a low profile. They made token statements but never really pushed for real investigation or justice. This person has benefited significantly from Punk's absence. Look at the booking since the attack. Look at who's gotten the opportunities, the spotlight, the push that might have gone to Punk if he was still active. I want you to look at the roster. I want you to think about who fits this profile. I want you to use your critical thinking skills and connect the dots. And I want you to drop your theories in the comments below, because we as a community need to keep pressure on the situation until the truth comes out. The fight for truth. Now, I know some of you are thinking, why should we even care? This is just wrestling. It's all a work anyway. And to that, I say absolutely not. This is not about whether storylines